And you should be good to go. Go ahead.
Excellent. Good evening, everybody. Thank you all for being here. If you're wondering why you're here, somebody might have said, hey, you should show up tonight. We're here tonight to share some information about our reopening plans as we move forward towards stage B, which is our hybrid return, starting with preschool, kindergarten, and first grade at Mountain View on the week of Monday, February 22nd. So we have a lot of information to share with all of you. We will be watching the chat box as we go, but it's really our hope that we can get through these slides because actually a question you have might be answered while we're talking. And when we get to the end of our slide, we will go back and review all of those questions and do our very best to answer them. And hopefully everybody will leave here feeling a little more prepared and a little more informed about what our hybrid return looks like. I quickly want to take a second and do some introductions. So those of you that may not know, my name is Mary Johnson and I'm the principal here at Mountain View.
Okay, well, I'm Alex Brown-Smith and I am the assistant principal here at Mountain View.
I'm Kat Kelly. I'm an EL teacher and I'll be translating any Spanish-English questions.
And we're really excited tonight that we have another guest joining us.
I'm Robin Groden. I'm the school counselor at Mountain View.
Thank you so much, everybody. So what do we have on our agenda today? Some of you may have already seen just today, our district released a really great video about the hybrid model. So we're going to start with sharing that. I'm the kind of person that likes to see things several times anyway, because I always seem to learn something new. Once we've watched that video, I'm excited to say that our very own Mr. Brown-Smith worked with Mrs. Kelly and a few other people and have put together a more specific video about what stage B hybrid will look like here at Mountain View. And then we have just a variety of information to share with you all. And at the end, we will have time for questions and answers. We are going to hope that all of these links work correctly. So bear with us if we have any technical issues. So the first video is the one that was produced by the school district. Mrs. Brady, principal at Olympic Middle School, worked really closely with Katie Diamond, staff member at the high school. Feel so bad that I can't remember his name right now. And a few other people to put together this video. It's really a great quality. So let's hope that it actually opens up and starts.
At Shelton School District, the health and safety of our students, staff, and families remains our top priority. We have been hard at work making sure we are ready to safely welcome students back for in-person learning in a blended model. Students will attend school face-to-face on Monday and Tuesday or Thursday and Friday.
Mary, I'm not sure the sound is working.
If you click on your view options at the top, you can, it looks like you were muted. So make sure you are sharing computer audio as well.
Okay, so I can hear it on mine. How do I help me? So Robin, you're shaking your head. You guys could not hear it.
I heard the beginning of it and then it stopped.
Okay.
The audio stopped.
Right, playing one more time.
Okay, I'll go back to the big, all of you listening, you guys are being so patient. Thank you so much. I apologize for that. Let's start at the beginning again, and then just give me a thumbs up because I'm hearing it just fine, guys, okay?
I think you have to stay unmuted, Mary.
At Shelton School District, the health and safety of our students, staff, and families remains our top priority. We have been hard at work making sure we are ready to safely welcome students back for in-person learning in a blended model. Students will attend school face-to-face on Monday and Tuesday, or Thursday and Friday. Wednesdays are online learning days for all, with staff having office hours, planning, and/or online class meetings. Pre-K, kindergartners, and grades 1, 5, and 7 are set to return to school on February 22nd. Grades 2, 3, 4, 6, and 8 through 12 are set to start March 15th. In this video, we will go over what a typical day will look like while at school and highlight important safety procedures to ensure that students and staff are as safe as possible when they return to school. So what does a typical day look like? All students must wear face masks. All students are required to wear a face mask that covers their nose and mouth at all times while at school and on buses. Students should bring their own face covering daily, but schools can provide masks to students who forget them. Reusable multi-layer cloth masks are recommended. Gaiters do not provide acceptable protection. Reusable masks should be laundered regularly or anytime that they become soiled. If your child rides the bus, they are required to wear a mask. Our bus drivers will carry extras just in case. All students will sit in their assigned seats. Siblings can sit together in a seat, but all other students will sit one student per seat. All high contact areas and seats will be sanitized between routes and when they return to the bus garage. Before arriving at school, elementary students, parents, and/or guardians will fill out a daily COVID attestation form. Students will be given unique QR codes. Each school will work with families to provide attestation forms. Parents and/or guardians will send the form to school with their student every day. The QR code is unique for every student and cannot be used for other students in the family. Middle, junior high, and high school students will be given unique QR codes and will answer the COVID questions themselves upon arrival to school. Or they will have the option to sign in using their smartphones and answer the questions in advance by visiting the app screenmein.com. When students arrive to campus, they will go to a COVID screening location near the front entrance or bus entrance at each campus. The screening locations will be clearly marked. If students arrive late, they will go to the screening location at the front office. At the COVID screening location, students will scan their QR code at the screening kiosk. The kiosk will scan their temperature. The screener will ask the attestation questions if the student has not already answered them. If the student passes the questions and their temperature is under 100 degrees, they will be admitted into the building and asked to go to a hand washing station to wash their hands. If the student does not pass the questionnaire or their temperature is above 100 degrees, they will be sent to a secondary screener for a more advanced screening. If their temperature is confirmed 100 degrees or higher, or if the child is visibly ill, not related to seasonal allergies, or if any of the questions are confirmed as a yes answer, the student will be taken to an isolation room and their parent, guardian, or emergency contact will be asked to pick them up. Students who fail screening may not return to school for 3 calendar days or longer if quarantine is required and their symptoms or temperature have subsided. It is important for students to keep their hands clean throughout the day. Students must wash their hands upon arriving to school and will be required to wash them at multiple points throughout the day. This includes before eating meals, after recess, after PE, and completing projects or activities. Hand sanitizer stations have also been placed throughout our campus to help supplement hand washing. Although students will be excited to see their friends again when returning to campus, 6 feet of physical distancing will be required at all times, except when incidentally passing each other in hallways and momentary encounters on campus. Students will be able to talk to each other at appropriate moments, and there will be opportunities for socializing, but masks and distancing will be required. Classrooms have been set up so that tables and desks are 6 feet apart, side to side, and back to front. Our maintenance department has been working with our buildings to determine max capacity for students to safely distance in a classroom while sitting 6 feet apart. Students will not be sharing supplies or materials. Students will sanitize their hands upon entering the classroom. At the end of class, students will help wipe down their desk or any materials if they are transitioning to another class. Students will not bring their Chromebook back and forth for grades K through 6. In grades 7 through 12, they will be asked to bring their Chromebooks to and from home and school. Schools will be contacting families and publishing school supply lists on the district website. Teachers and students will continue to use the K-12 curriculum during hybrid. Meals will remain free for all students for the remainder of the 2020-21 school year. Meals will be in grab-and-go bags with a complete breakfast or lunch, and all items will be prepackaged. While at school, students will pick up their lunch, and depending on their school, go to the Commons, cafeteria, or classroom to eat. During Stage B, or the blended model, grab-and-go meal services will continue at the Shelton High School, Evergreen Elementary, and Bordeaux Elementary from 10:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. on scheduled school days for students learning remotely, and also for community members 18 years of age or younger. Meals are limited to 1 breakfast and 1 lunch per child per day. We are working hard to provide as many meals as possible to every child in need. If a student receives meals while at school, they are not to pick up meals for the same day from the open site. K-8 schools, along with Choice and Cedar High School, will release 60 minutes early for asynchronous learning. Shelton High School will release at 12:30 for asynchronous learning. Asynchronous learning means that they will be learning independently from home. Students will also have 3 asynchronous days a week. Schools will be reaching out with more information. Shelton School District will continue to focus on creating a safe and healthy school environment as we transition to in-person learning. If you have questions, feel free to contact your school or call our district office at 360-426-1687 or visit our district website. We look forward to seeing you soon.
Excellent. All right. That's the 3rd time I've watched it, and every time I do hear something new. So I hope you guys found that to be helpful and informative. Our own Mr. Brownsmith has also made a video that's a little more specific about Mountain View Elementary. So we're going to share that again really quick. I hope you guys enjoy this one as well.
Hello, Mountain View families and students. As you probably know, we are going to be starting hybrid very, very soon. And we are all super excited to have you guys here. Right now, I want to talk a little bit about what that hybrid model is going to look like, sound like for our students and for the parents at home. And I also want to take a look at some of the safety measures that we will be putting in place to make sure all of our students are safe when they come back. Thank you. With hybrid learning, it's broken down into 2 groups, Group A and Group B. Group A will have their in-person learning on Monday and on Tuesday. And Group B will have their in-person learning on Thursday and on Friday. On the days that students are not doing in-person learning, they will be working independently on K-12 or other teacher-provided materials. Remember, teachers will be providing in-person instruction for the other group or cohort on these days. So Group A will be doing their independent or online work on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, while Group B will be doing their independent or online work on Wednesdays, Mondays, and Tuesdays. So at Mountain View, one of our top priorities is the safety of our students and our staff. So now that we've taken a look at what that hybrid schedule is going to look like, let's now see some of those safety precautions that we're going to be taking. The first safety precaution I want to talk about is mask wearing. Students and staff will be asked to wear their masks throughout the day while in school. Students will be asked to bring their own face coverings every day to school. However, we will provide face coverings to those who can. Another important safety procedure students will see here in Mountain View is our daily screening. We will be screening students both in the front and the back of the school. And the first part of that screening process is to collect an attestation form from each child that comes in. That looks much like this. After a student turns in their attestation form, they will then walk up to get their temperature checked at one of our kiosks. The next step for the student will be to either use hand sanitizer or to wash their hands, and then head off to class or to get breakfast. And speaking of hand sanitizer and hand washing, this will be something that students and staff will be doing frequently throughout the day. This includes before and after recess and lunch. The last safety precaution I want to talk about in this video is social distancing. So we'll be taking many precautions to make sure that students are social distancing. For example, in the bathroom, we'll be using posts that students can use to notify or see how many students are in the bathroom at once before entering. Another place that we will be practicing social distancing is the cafeteria, where we will be seating only 2 students at each bench to ensure that they are 6 feet apart. While at school, we also want to make sure that students get plenty of exercise and a chance to be outside. So at recess, we have divided our playground into sections. And each day, a class will be assigned to an area to play. Classes will rotate daily so they get a chance to play in all the areas throughout the week. And finally, in the classrooms, teachers and staff have moved and removed furniture to create classrooms that allow for social distancing, but are still a warm and a welcoming atmosphere to the students. Well, that's the end of our video. So thank you very much for watching. If you have questions or concerns, please let us know, and we look forward to seeing you very soon.
Wonderful job, Mr. Brown-Smith. Excellent.
Thank you. It's a little embarrassing, but that's okay.
I think it went really well. So these 2 videos will be, I know that the one from the school district is already up on the website. We will get this one also posted to our website as well as to our Facebook page. So please share with your friends. We hope that it's a little sneak peek as to what things will look like when we return.
Right, and we'll get that Spanish one out soon as well.
Yes, yeah, we're going to share it tonight at the second part of our forum tonight. So now we just want to share a little more specific information about some of the things that you guys maybe have heard tonight or in the last couple of weeks. So attestation forms. Oh my goodness, what are attestation forms? At the elementary levels, we determined as principals and assistant principals and school staff that we wanted to stick with a paper copy. So for a variety of reasons. One, many of our children at the elementary level don't have access to smartphones or devices. And even if they do, we work really hard at not having them brought to school. Because we have younger children, we were a bit concerned about the children's ability to answer these questions. So we felt like getting the information from the parents was the very, very best way to get it. So you will be completing an attestation form every morning that your child is attending in person. For each child, they will each need their individual one. The ones that you see on screen, you'll see that there is a English version and a Spanish version. We have printed them back to back. So you'll get one and it will have it in either language, depending on which side you're looking at. So the questions are very specific to the questions that the Department of Health and the state has set aside for us to ask. So for question 1, do you have any of these symptoms that are not associated with seasonal allergies? So we're asking you, does your child have fever or chills, a cough, shortness of breath or difficulty breathing, fatigue, muscle or body aches, headache, recent loss of taste or smell, a sore throat, congestion, nausea or vomiting, or diarrhea. Okay, if your child has any of those symptoms, we need you to keep them home. As well, question number 2, have you had contact in the past 14 days with anyone who has COVID-19 or COVID-like symptoms? And again, if the answer is yes, we're going to ask that you keep your child home. 3, have you had a positive COVID-19 test results in the past 10 days, or are you waiting for results from a COVID-19 test? And 4, have you been asked to monitor, isolate, or quarantine due to concerns about COVID-19 infection? If the answer to all of those things are no, we are so excited to have your child at school, and you will sign below. By signing below, I am answering no to all of the above statements 4, and on the top line, you will put your child's name, and right below it, you will sign it and date it. And again, this form will need to be with your child when they arrive at school. Thank you guys so much. We are sending home a package. You'll probably be thinking, how am I supposed to get access to this for the first day of school? A lot of the information that I'm going to be sharing over these next few slides have been copied and are in envelopes at district office, waited to be metered and sent home Friday, weather permitting, fingers crossed here, guys. In that envelope, we have provided each family with 2 copies of the attestation form per their child. So you have enough to get through the first 2 days of school. And that first and second day of school, your teachers will be sending them home to you. We haven't decided whether we will be sending a mass quantity like the rest for the school year, or if we will be sending a few at a time. We're going to kind of play with this. I know that sounds really crazy, but this is new and we've never done it before. So we're going to kind of see how it goes and then move forward with the best way to get those packets to you guys. Did you want to add anything, Mr. Brown-Smith?
No, but I just wanted to ask a question. So, Mrs. Johnson, what happens if we forget as a parent to send an attestation with our child to school?
Great question, Mr. Brown-Smith. So if you are dropping your child off out front, and we're going to go over drop-off procedures in a slide coming up. Before your child exits the car, they're going to have their attestation form in their hand. If they don't, we will have 2 staff people out front that will have clipboards with attestation forms on them. Because you as the parent are there at that exact moment, we will have you complete an attestation form before your child leaves your car to come and be screened through school. Very, very important. If a child arrives off the bus without their attestation form, we'll have a special place designated for them to go where our office staff will reach out to the parent to ask those questions. So as you can imagine, it's extremely important that these are with your child every day, because that could really back up the amount of phone calls we have to make. And to be honest, it would really just impact your child's ability to get right to class. So we're hoping that this will just become part of our new normal, I guess, the morning routine, and that it will just become something. And we're going to ask the kids, our children, you know, we all have children who are so eager to remind us of all the things we need to do. So hopefully our students will do a great job of reminding their parents that those forms need to be filled out. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about arrival and departures of school. So again, I think I've said this and I'll probably say it several more times. We've never done this before. So we have some great plans laid out, but we also know that one thing that we're all very good at as educators is being flexible. So we are going to share a lot of information with you guys. And it's quite possible once we get our first kindergarten and first graders here on campus, we may make some changes to some of the procedures and processes that we're sharing, just based on new information that we have and great ideas from other people. So I'm sharing this information knowing that it might change, especially prior to the March 15th date return for our second, third, and fourth graders. So we're super excited to have kindergarten and first grade on campus first, so we can get a lot of these procedures in place. We can get those kids who have never been to school or didn't even finish a full year last year in, and get them. They're going to be our little experts. And then if we have to make any changes, we'll do so, and we'll be sharing those changes out with everybody as we, kind of in real time. So just a quick reminder that school starts at 9 o'clock. However, we begin opening our doors at 8:30 a.m. We're asking that nobody, just like in any other year, that nobody come to school prior to 8:30, because we don't have staff available to do a lot of the supervision that we need. So we will have two entrances for students to enter. So one will be for the walkers and drop-offs, and that will be up front of our building. And then we will also have an entrance in the back for our busser, the students that come by bus. So for families that are dropping off their children, are going to continue to use our drop-off lane. Students must be holding their attestation forms before they exit their vehicles. We will have 2 staff members. We will also have 2 stations out front where parents can pull up, and the staff will come out and greet you. Make sure you have your attestation form, provide one for you if you have forgotten it, and then give you kind of like a signal or a sign that it's okay for your child or children to leave the vehicle and proceed to the queue line for screening. So that's going to be a bit of a change for us. We have a fairly long and lengthy drop-off lane, but we are asking that parents do not just pull in and drop their child off anywhere in our drop-off lane. We will have, right now we have cones with flags out there. We're going to try to do something that's a little bigger, but we'll have 2 spots kind of directly in front of the entrance of our building. One right after our crosswalk, and one right before the crosswalk. They will be identified for you. And those are the places where you are allowed to have your child exit once you're greeted by a staff member. So please do not drop your child off anywhere else in the drop-off lane. We have seen parents come into the parking lot and go around the drop-off lane to the front of it. So we just, you're gonna save all of us a phone call, because probably what's going to happen is you're going to get a phone call from Mr. Brown-Smith or myself saying, guys, we know we're all in a hurry. We know we all have places to be, but right now safety and security is our #1 priority. And this is the system that we have in place. So we are already saying thank you so much for those of you who are willing to just be slightly inconvenienced. It really is the right thing to do. So once the staff greets the child has their attestation form in, they get out of the car, they will greet them and move them towards our queuing line for screening. So parents must remain in their car when dropping their kids off, and at the end of the day when they're picking up their students. And again, just remember to keep your kids in the car till no later than 8:30. No sooner, than 8:30, and we will be there to help you. So for families that will be sending their students by bus, again, you must make sure that your child gets on the bus with an attestation form. The bus driver, as they're pulling into the school the school bus area, will ask the kids to get their attestation forms out and in their hand. When they're on the bus, they'll be sitting one child to a seat, unless they're sitting with one of their siblings, of course. Students will get off the bus, and we will have our bus greeters, just like we always do there, and they will check for the attestation form, and they will guide them through the drop-off process, where there will be a queuing line out back for kids to stand. Once they get there, they'll go through, they'll wait their turn, and they will screen through just like Mr. Brown-Smith sort of walked us through. They'll have their attestation form. The answers will be no, because that's the okay reason to send your kids to school. And we will check them in and take their temperature, make sure it's below 100 degrees, and they're good to go. Let's see. So remember that students are required to wear their masks from the time they get on the bus until the time they get off the bus at the end of the day. All right. Bus drivers will have a few extra masks if needed. So once students get to school, whether they're being dropped off, walking, or picking up, they'll come in, they'll use either hand sanitizer or wash their hands. They can go directly to the cafeteria to get a grab-and-go breakfast if they would like. Or they may proceed right directly to class. At this point, we are planning that our students who are doing grab and go breakfast will be remaining in the cafeteria to eat and not taking that grab and go breakfast to class. However, we're going to see how that goes. And we may decide that kids are, may need to take the breakfast to class. We've always had a few children towards that 8:50 time frame that take their breakfast to class because we do not want them to miss out on any instruction. So we're just going to kind of have to see how many kids are eating and how the whole screening process goes. And we will share information as we start this process. All right, so your child has been at school all day and now it's the end of the day. This is part of the day that we are a little nervous about. We have a lot of families that are choosing to self-transport their own children. And I get that, I understand exactly why. So I'm gonna do buses because buses actually are a little bit easier here. Our children who are riding buses will remain in their classrooms until their bus arrives. We usually have what we call a first wave of buses. Those are the ones that we know are out there at the end of the day ready to go. So once we know which routes those are, the teachers will release those kids and get them out to get on those buses. Those buses, doors open, kids get on those buses and off they go. We then have a variety of buses that then begin to stagger in a little bit slower, depending on where they're coming from. For children that ride those routes, they will remain in their classrooms. And when the bus is approaching the pickup area, we'll have a staff person call the office and say, for example, Route 131 is here. And we will do an all call over the intercom system and to all the classrooms saying, if Route 131 is here, if you ride Route 131, please come down to the bus line. And then children will come down and proceed out the door and onto their bus. So for the children who are pickup, that's going to be a little bit different for us this year. And we have a plan and we're going to give it a try. For any of you that have ever picked up your child, you know that we often have a lot of families outside waiting. We have such a beautiful area out there to sit. With this pandemic going on right now, parents need to remain in their cars. So we won't be able to have families coming out to greet their child as they come out the school door. It will take a little bit longer. So what will happen is we have this thought that or I guess a piece of information that has been shared with us by a couple of schools that are back in school already. They have families who have put little signs in their window that have the name of their child. So it might say, so for example, my grandson, it would say Brantley Johnson, and it would say what grade he was in. And so as the bus is pulling up, the staff out there can notify that this child's parent is here to pick them up. For the bus riders, for the pickup kids, we are thinking that we are going to have them bring their stuff down and sit in our cafeteria. Again, they can sit in families, but otherwise they'll be sitting 6 feet apart because it's very close to our pickup area. And hopefully that will cut down a little bit on that transition as opposed to trying to call into classrooms and have kids gather their stuff and down the stairs that they come. But again, this is going to be a very, it's going to be like probably like a dance that we're going to be doing and trying to figure out how to change the choreography a little bit to make, depending on how many kids we have. Mr. Brownsmith, do you want to add anything?
No, just like you said, we got to be flexible. And that's that one area as we, just experience that pickup process a little bit more. It might be getting tweaked. The other thing that we're hoping to do is, if we know those first 10 kids and we can see those cars. So if you pull up, there's a good chance staff may come by and just kind of double check before school gets out who your child is, just so we can get those first 10 out into cars right away. And I think that'll help a little bit too.
I think so. If you need help making signs, please feel free to let us know and we can make some signs for you to have in your windows. Okay, excellent. How are we doing, everybody? Are we getting some questions? Nope. Okay,
not yet.
great. Okay, all right. This is a kind of an overview of what hybrid looks like. So you'll notice for Monday and Tuesday, we have our in-group, our Monday and Tuesday group A is blue, okay? So that for Monday and Tuesday, group A is coming to school in person. During that time, they are getting social emotional learning. They're going to be checking in, having morning announcements. They're going to have direct instruction right there in person with their teachers in reading, writing, and mathematics. They'll be having lunch, they'll be having recesses. We're pretty excited. And while they're doing all of that, students in group B, which is the red box on Monday and Tuesday, will be at home doing their independent or asynchronous learning. And so that again will be that independent learning via the K-12 platform with a primary focus on ELA and math. Also during that time, there will also be some small interventions happening for some of our special program students. So for example, some students, when they're still at home doing asynchronous learning, will still receive their small group reading. If they are a student that has Title Lab services, they may receive some of their special education, specially designed instruction in that model, as well as their ELL services with Mrs. Kelly or Mrs. Turek. All right, school will end for the in-person students at 2:30 on the day that they're in person. And there will be a 60 minutes of what we call asynchronous learning. And that will be something that will be done because we say school is out at 2:30, we realize students still need to get home. And for some students, that can be kind of a lengthy bus ride. So we put activities into here that our students have been doing currently during asynchronous or remote learning, such as Stride on the K-12 platform, Waterford, which is a K-1 program that we use a lot, Dreambox, that's a math, kind of a computerized math program. Imagine Learning is a program that we use for many of our English language learners. So that will be something that will happen during that asynchronous time. Okay, I'm going to skip Wednesdays for a minute. I'm going to go over to Thursday and Friday, and you'll see that this has switched a little bit. So now Thursday and Friday, Group B is on top. They're now here in person, getting social emotional check-in, morning announcements. They're getting their face-to-face in-person instruction with their classroom teacher with that focus on reading, writing, and math. They're getting some recesses and some lunch. And while they're doing all that, Group A is back at home doing their asynchronous or online learning. And then on Wednesday, all students are at home. So during the kinds of things that you'll see happen on Wednesday will be, again, some continuation of some of the asynchronous K-12 lessons and activities. Some of our students in some of our special programs, such as Title Lab, special education, and ELL services, might still get some of their small groups. The main part of this day will be for our teachers to work, primarily to work on balancing the in-person instruction and some of the asynchronous learning that they're doing. So for our teachers, they're really doing double time. They're teaching in person and having to prepare all those rich, amazing lessons that they do, and looking at how the kids are performing and changing and adding assessments. And at the same time, they have to have a way to monitor the asynchronous learning and prepare for what students are going to be doing on those days. So the bulk of Wednesday will be teacher-centered around teacher preparation for asynchronous learning. There may be teachers that will have some communication time with students and families. And we will have our PLC days. So currently our PLC days have been about 2 Fridays a month. And that's when your kids go home early, like at 2 o'clock. We're going to move those to Wednesdays because we didn't want our Thursday, Friday Group B kids to lose any instructional minutes or of the in-person time. So for the remainder of this year, we will be moving our PLCs to, and you'll see in there, the 24th of February, the 10th of March, the 21st of April, the 5th of May, and the 19th of May. So just kind of a little snapshot about what it's going to look like.
And I think one of the things we have to remember is that asynchronous means that that's that time where students are learning independently on their own. They don't have a teacher with them at that time because they are going to be teaching that other group of students who have in person that day.
Thank you, Mr. Brown-Smith. All right, a little bit of information. I kind of put some stuff in here. Hopefully this will be helpful. I was trying to anticipate the questions parents might have. Meals. So meals are free to all students in the Shelton School District for the remainder of the year. So there will be, and all meals will continue to be grab and go. So served in that paper bag. So students will either eat in their classrooms or in the cafeteria. It's going to be different at each of our elementaries have a little bit of a different setup. So when we were anticipating how we might get meals to classrooms, one of the first things we said was, wow, we have stairs and an elevator, and that's an awful lot of moving around. We'd like to have kids in the cafeteria. And so that really is our intent. But we had a couple other schools that were like, we have a pod, and it's just a perfectly natural place for kids to be able to eat. So anyway, it could look a little bit different, but right now we're anticipating that we will serve our meals and our children will eat in our cafeteria. For those students who are remaining on remote learning, we will still have meal services at Shelton High School, Evergreen Elementary, and Bordeaux Elementary from 10:30 to 12:30. And then as well for those families, if you are on your asynchronous day, those meals are still there and available for you to pick up. So just remember that they are for any community member under the age of 18. So one of the things as we were preparing for this, we started, and again, in communicating with other schools that have already come back to school, we had some great suggestions, like you should do everything you can to limit lunch boxes and anything that has to go back and forth to school. So we are asking our families that are going to be sending their kids to school with cold lunches to please do so in paper bags or in disposable bags. We just started thinking, what would it be like? It would have to go, somehow it would have to go from their cubby, and they'd have to carry it to the lunchroom, and then they don't go back to the lunchroom, back to their class before recess, so then it would have to go someplace else, and somebody else would have to touch it and get it back to the classroom. So we're just really hoping that people who are going to serve cold lunches or send their children to school with their own lunches, that if you could really do them in stuff that the kids could just throw away when they're done, we would so greatly appreciate that. Health and safety, please know that we are following all local health guidelines to keep our students and our staff safe while we're here at school. So all students and staff will be required to wear masks. All students and staff will be required, or definitely required, to social distance. We will be screening all students and staff every day when they enter. We'll be watching them on the playground. We'll be watching them when they're riding their buses. A little bit ago, I spoke about a mailing that we're sending home, an envelope that has those attestation forms in it. Also, in that form, or in that envelope, you will find a double-sided sheet of paper. We've included it in both English and Spanish, so you'll get both, because we didn't differentiate in the envelopes between what language. We just made sure we provided everything in both languages. So this is really important. The first side of that is what we call a safety and health agreement. And you'll see we put those attestation questions right on there and really talked about the importance of making sure that you were asking those questions and looking for those types of symptoms every single day. So we're asking you to read through that with your child and sign it and date it and make sure your child's name is on it. And on the back side of that form is our student emergency update form that we usually do every fall when the kids come back to school. So usually when you come, we ask you to fill it out with for any changes that might have occurred. It's really important that we have updated contact information for our families. In case we have to notify, first of all, any family if their child becomes ill during the day, as well as any family if something happened and we had a child or a staff that did test positive, we need to make sure that we have very, very specific ways of getting hold of you. So if a child, as they're being screened through, does not pass, we're pretty sure that the kids that come into our building will have passed attestation. We'll be checking those forms before they even come into the building. But they won't take their temperature till they get in the building. The machine system we have The kids need to come into the building for a few feet to kind of acclimate for that machine to read their temperature. And so that might be where we get a little bit of a hiccup. A kid comes in and indeed their temperature reads above that 100. We'll move them to a secondary line. We will screen them again real quick. And if they still are either have symptoms or they are running a fever, they will go directly to our isolation area. So we have rearranged our entire health room to have isolation in the back in a separate room, and then our nurses station up front. So a child would go into the isolation room where they would remain until a parent could come and get them. So that is really why it's extremely important that we have contact information for more than just the one or two parents or guardians. As deep as you need to go so that we could get a hold of somebody if we absolutely needed to. So that sheet, again, two-sided, that needs to be returned no later than the first day your child returns to school. So we are mailing these out on Friday. You will get them. You will complete that. Next week, the 17th, 18th, and 19th, we will have a box out front where you can drop those off, as well as if your child is in group A and their first day is Monday the 22nd, they may bring that form with them. If they're in group B and their first day of school is not until that next Thursday, they could bring it with them as well. Okay, let's see, recess. Yes, kids will have recess. Mr. Brown-Smith talked a little bit about this in his video. We have broke our playground into a few stations. So kids will play at recess, but they will play with their cohort, which is the class that they're in. So each class will be assigned. So if you are in, for example, if you are in Mrs. Bielik's first grade class, when you go out to recess, Mrs. Bielik will maybe first day of school, they're going to get to play in the blue area. That's where they'll go. That's where they'll remain. They can play with their friends, have a good time. We'll have different activities out there. And then we'll be rotating through those colors. So maybe the next Tuesday when they go out, maybe they'll move to the green area. We really need to do that to make sure that we're keeping our cohorts together and kids are exposed to the kids that they are going to be exposed to. We will make sure that they get hand sanitizer on their way out and hand sanitizer or wash their hands on the way back in. All right, attendance will be taken both on the days the kids are in person, as well as we will continue to take attendance through K-12 when they're on their asynchronous or online days. So please continue to work with your teachers. And I know many of you have spoken to Mr. Brown-Smith when we've had difficulties, your child's not been able to attend for the day. We certainly know that we've had some challenges around the K-12 platform and internet issues. So just continue to communicate, please, when you're experiencing anything like that.
Yep. When in doubt, give us a call.
Yep. Restrooms. So we've gone into our restrooms and we've based the number of kids on how much space there is, so how many stalls or how many urinals there are. So they will be only as many kids can go in there that there's room for. They will continue to wear their masks while they're in there, and they will need to wash their hands, obviously, when they leave. And then masks. Let's just talk more about masks. We just really need to make sure that kids have masks on. I have been pretty surprised at how resilient children have been. I know I talk about my grandson a lot, but he amazes me. I don't know if it's just become his new normal, but that he'll put his mask on and he's just playing and having a good time. And I'll be like, honey, it's just us. You can take your mask off now. But we know it's going to be, building stamina, being able to have your mask on is something that's going to take some time for our kids. So we are working a little bit on a process of when a child might be able to have a mask break. So one of the things that we've talked about at this point is when they're outside at recess, we are going to have areas with hula hoops out. And for a child that needs to take a mask break, they can go over to the hula hoop and stand in it and take their mask off. And they're going to be distanced enough that that would be a safe thing to do. And again, lots of hand washing and lots of hand sanitizer. Phew. All right. What do you guys think? Anything that's popped into your mind that you can think of?
No, you think you covered it. That was good.
Okay. All of this information, all the stuff you see on these last couple of screens, I cut and pasted out of the letter I sent you. So again, for our kindergarten and first grade students, this information should start arriving Saturday maybe Tuesday. I know Monday is a holiday, but these should start arriving, and you will have all this information there for you. For students, parents who have students in the older grade levels, just know, and I think I said this in my robocall yesterday, that we will be starting the same process that we did with our preschool, kindergarten, and first grade. So starting next week, we'll be reaching out to you. You now will know a little more about what hybrid looks like and what online remote will look like. If you want to make a choice that is different than the one you made for your child in December, you will be allowed to do that. And then our goal is to give you a few days to do that. And then we'll go back through, look at our online and hybrid needs. And I'm thinking right around the 25th of 25th or maybe the 29th is when we plan on notifying our second, third, and fourth grade students of whether they are cohort A or cohort B, and if there are any changes to their teacher assignments. Let's see, and then we will follow up with very specific information like this for those families. Okay, daily schedule. All right, Mr. Brown-Smith's probably going to share this.
I can do that. So this is just kind of a bit of a draft schedule. There it is. I'm just what a day might look like. So you can see that kindergarten's got a little sample right there that will start their day at 8:30, just kind of getting things put away, and then go into their spots or their seats. And then they're going to be starting off with fine motor, with social emotional learning, and then going into some ELA and math. So, and finally, lunch will start around 10:55. So it's a little bit of an early lunch, but but it is a pretty long morning too. So we'll also get a little recess after lunch, and then they'll continue some of that learning. So get a little rest time, continue with some math. They'll have a little bit of writing time. And then for the afternoon, they'll get one more recess, a 20-minute recess before heading back to class to continue some of that learning and some of that social emotional learning. And then you can see that about 15 minutes before school gets out, they'll start cleaning up, getting packed up, and then dismissal is at 2:30. So those students who are taking the bus will remain in the classroom until their bus gets there, and those that are parent pickup will be heading to the cafeteria. So that's just kind of a sample of what a day looks like for students.
Thank you so much. So I know our first grade teaching staff is working on doing something similar for first grade. And then again, as we get closer to that March 15th start date for second, third, and fourth, we'll be we will have them go in and also start drafting what their schedule would look like.
And the nice part is, we've broken, you can see that we do have 2 recesses a day, but we do have several areas around the playground too. So if teachers are feeling like they need to take a break with their students, get some wiggles out, they'll have that opportunity to do that too.
All right, so we find ourselves at the time of the evening for any questions that you guys might have, and hopefully some answers that we might have for you. So do we have anything in the chat box yet?
We don't have
a question. Yeah, but we do have a comment about taking a temperature. It's very important for parents to check their child's temperature in the morning. It would be sad to have to send them home, even more difficult if the student rode the bus to get to school. So thank you for your comment.
Thank you.
Right.
That's so very true. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so parents, if you do have a thermometer at home, that would be a great idea. We are going to do a temperature check once they get to school as well. So.
Excellent. Okay, parents, great time if you have any questions. I know we shared a lot of information. Staff too, anybody listening. I know we shared a lot tonight. If when we end this forum, you have any questions afterwards, you can reach out to the teacher or Mr. Brown-Smith or myself at any point, and we'll do our best to answer any questions you guys might have. Nothing? Okay.
No questions yet.
Yeah, well, I wonder, I mean, I could, you know me, I could talk all night. So sorry, everybody. I wonder if, do you want to do a quick update, Mr. Brown-Smith, on maybe some of the lessons that our teachers over the next few days or those first couple of weeks of school are going to be kind of, doing with the kids around
I think
expectations?
Mrs. Grote could probably answer that a little bit better. She's been working very closely with some of that. Some of the teachers and our specialists have been working very hard to create some lessons to go over some of the procedures that students will have when they get into the building, because school's going to look a little different when they get there. And so some of that has to do with wearing their masks, teaching those procedures that we have for the bathroom. It could be social distancing. Mrs. Grote, you've probably got a little bit more detail, so I'll let you take over.
Yes. So on that topic, yes, but I do see there's a question. So before I jump into that, maybe we could share that question. When older kids go back, will they be in the same cohort as their younger sibling?
That is a great question. Yes, absolutely. We worked really hard when we did our first draft of this schedule. The first thing we did is we tried to pair up families. So it was really easy to place students who had no siblings. A little more difficult to place those that did, but we worked really closely with Olympic Middle School, Oakland Bay Junior High, Shelton High School, Choice, Cedars High School, the ELC, and the other two elementary schools to do our very best. And we did have some families contact us after we shared information, and they said, oh my gosh, come to find out, this is a sibling. And so we were able to make some of those changes. We also had a couple families who said, hey, actually, we'd like our kids in different sessions so that we can dedicate more time to them by having just them home. So yes, absolutely. I think that you will find when we share the second and third and fourth grade lists that we will find that they are in the same cohort. And if they aren't, that was an oversight on our part. A lot of kids, 4,000 children in the district to try to sort. So we will work with you to make that happen.
Yes.
So I don't see any other questions, and I see that we're getting really close to the end, but I can share very briefly on what our specialists and myself have been working on. There are specific pictures and videos that will be available for the teachers to be sharing with their students so that they can see the procedures that they will be asked to follow when they are in our building. And we have done some work around the screening in so they could see what it looks like at our school. They will also see what it's like to go into the cafeteria to pick up their breakfast and what happens from there. Lunch procedure also. In a lot of these, we show the right way to do it and then the way that we should not do it. So I think the kids will probably enjoy that because we had a lot of fun with doing the proper examples and the non-examples of what not to do. So it should be a lot of fun, but then also provide those details for kids before they even come in some cases when the teachers share those, so they know what to expect, because it is going to be a lot different. And with our brand new students who haven't even been in the building yet, I think for them to be able to see those different locations in the school and what it's going to look like is going to help bring down some of that concern and that worry of what to expect. So yeah, that's what we've been working on.
Yeah, it's been pretty fun watching some of the teachers walking around the school with their cameras and their phones as they're taking videos to show some of the students, what to expect when they come back.
Yeah, we have such a great team. That's one of the things I love. Well, there's so many things I love about our building and our staff, but everybody is just pitched in, and they've done things that they are good and comfortable, that they feel really comfortable with. And in a lot of ways, they've done things that have really stretched them. And I don't think we could ever, I guess I've never seen a group that has had to wear so many hats and do it so well at one time. So it's been a group effort, and I think the kids will really enjoy the videos. And I know for me myself, I'm a pretty good visual learner. So I like to be able to see, not just hear about what it is. So we will get those out to everybody. Okay, anything else? Give it maybe just a couple more minutes. We're going to we'll take a very short break, and we'll get back online, and we will be doing this presentation again, this time in Spanish for our families that speak Spanish.
Mrs. Grote, would you have any recommendations of things families can do in the coming weeks to prepare their kiddos for being back in person, even 2 days a week?
So one of the things that we have talked about, I had a conversation actually with a teacher about this, wearing a mask for a longer period of time is an adjustment. And so one thing that families can do at home is practice that and maybe set a timer, have the mask on, doing something so that we're not focused so much on just, oh, I have to wear this mask for this amount of time, but, you know, to kind of keep their mind off of it and distract them from that. Set that timer. And then after the timer goes off, take the mask off and do something fun. Reward yourself for being able to get through that amount of minutes. I did this with a student through a Zoom meeting the other day, and I was just going to suggest 2 minutes. And the student said, well, I want to try 8. And I said, well, cool. So, you know, he calls over to his Alexa and says, set a timer for 8 minutes. I didn't even have to set the timer. We put our masks on and we visited back and forth. And before you know it, the timer went off and he had forgotten that he was even wearing his mask. So working your way up to being able to wear the mask for a longer period of time. And you can just start in really small bits of time, 2 minutes. Next time you do it for 3 minutes, maybe 5 minutes. And that I think will help adjust, because I think that will be one of the bigger adjustments that some of our kids will have, is wearing that mask. But Mrs. Johnson was talking about having those areas on the playground where kids can have their masks off and have breaks. So that's a really good thing too. They won't be expected necessarily to wear it every single minute that they're at school. So that, I think that would be one thing. I know that there's been some conversation also about something special to bring to school, maybe that provides a student comfort. Maybe it's a picture of the family or, you know, whatever. And I know that we've talked about maybe preparing and having teachers talk to their families about what would be something that would provide some comfort, because they've been home with their families for a long time, and they might have some difficulty easing back into school and being away from their families for a whole day at a time. So that's something else maybe to think about too.
Thank you, Mrs. Grote. We're so lucky to have you.
Why, thank you. I feel like I'm the lucky one.
Yeah, I just, you know, as we talk about it is going to be difficult. It's going to be a change. You know, we're all excited. We're all nervous. I think about our staff as well, who have been at home working, who have been able to focus on their safety. You know, it's a difficult decision to come back to school. But I feel pretty confident that we are prepared. The district has done a really amazing job of supporting us with staffing. So we are going to have some additional staff coming in the form of being able to bring back some of our paraeducators who have been laid off earlier in the year to help us with providing that level of support and practice. We are, I think, excited again about kindergarten and first grade starting first. And that will allow us a little more hands-on time with adults to really get those kids transitioned and they'll be well into how to do all this before the second, third, and fourth graders come back. So it's been a lot of work. I think we will forever be grateful and in debt to all of our families for what you guys have all been doing since last March. And I think I speak for a lot of us. I don't think it will ever be the same. I don't know what our new normal will be. I think it will be different than what it used to be, but just excited that we are coming back in a safe way, and that we get to see our kids. I think Mr. Brown-Smith shared he was really lucky and he was able to go down and see a school that was already back. Do you want to talk a little bit about what that was like to see kids?
Yeah, it was great to be able to see all the students. So I had the chance to go down to Chehalis, a school about the same size as ours, and it was just a great experience to see those kids back in school, and they were excited to be there. They were doing it. The staff were excited to have the kids there. But it was very hopeful, and it gave me a lot of hope. We can do this and keep kids safe at the same time. And so it was a great experience to be able to see it right there with my own eyes, what that hybrid and returning back to school looks like.
Yeah, we keep thinking 550 kids coming in the building, and we're like, how are we going to do that? And Mr. Brown-Smith came back and he was like, okay, guys, we've got to take a step back. It's like 70 kids coming into the building. Yes, we still have some work to do and we still have some things to put in place, but it's not quite all of them. I think we have another question.
Yes, so a question about the lunchroom. Where will the student put their mask when they get to the lunchroom?
Excellent, yeah. They will keep their mask on them. So as they're going through the line to get their grab and go, or as they're going through to with their own lunch from home, they'll come in and they'll sit at our table. We have 2 kids to each table, and there's about 6.5 feet, almost 7 feet in between the 2 of them. And so once they're sitting down and ready to eat, they can take their mask right off and sit it on the table right next to them. Sometimes I find myself walking around the house and it's still hooked to my ear because I have forgotten it's staying there, but it will stay right there in their close proximity. They'll do their eating and then they'll put it back on.
Yep, and then head out to recess with the mask on.
We do have, I wish we didn't have them set up when Mr. Brown-Smith did the video, but you sort of saw them on the district video, but we have these washing stations that are now in our gym. And so there'll be direct access right in the gym. There's 2 of them and each has 2 sinks. We did have to sort of laugh when we came in. We're like, they're really cool looking, but we're like, we've got kindergartners. So our task this week is to find proper stools because many of our little kids would be up here trying to wash their hands and not be able to see. So there'll be stuff right there in the cafeteria for them to be able to wash up and go. All right, anything else?
That looks like it's it for comments and questions in the chat.
Excellent. Aaron, I have a quick question. So we are really lucky. We have Aaron Miller here. He is one of our amazing tech guys here in the district, and he helps us put these events on. Are we able to take a pause?
So to keep it simple and keep the same URL for the Spanish version to start, no. What we can do is just kind of, you can turn off your video and mute yourselves and come back when you're ready.
Excellent. So guys, I think if that's okay, parents, staff, thank you so much for being here tonight. Again, reach out at any point. Please, this will be up for view. So please, if you found this to be helpful, which I hope you did, please go ahead and feel free to share it with people that you think would benefit, even if they're not necessarily just Mountain View. A lot of the information in here will apply to the other 2 elementaries as well. We're going to go ahead and turn our cameras off and just take a real quick break before we start back up at 7:30. In the meantime, Ms. Kelly, what I'll do is I will close down this slideshow and I will pull up the next slideshow. And I'll see you guys back here with 7:25 work, okay? Okay, yep. Guys, thank you everybody again. And I'll see everybody back here at 7:25. And we're back. Kat, how do I say, I never get it in the right order if I say, me llamo Mrs. Johnson, directora, and is it Mountain View Escuela Primaria or Primaria Escuela? Escuela. I can never say it right.
You can say escuela primaria. Mm-hmm.
Escuela Primaria.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say it wrong, but I'm going to try, okay?
I love that you're trying. It's wonderful.
I think we may be
Yes,
on. Is
You
that
We're
are
on.
live. Yes. Yes, you
Yes.
I'm sure I will just destroy it.
Are we ready, Aaron? Are we going?
You are live whenever you want to go.
Okay, that's right. I forgot we left it open. So excellent. Hola, buenas noches. You want to say something, Kat, first, and then we'll
Oh,
introduce ourselves?
absolutely. I don't know if you wanted to share the presentation too.
Is it not?
Buenas noches. Eso es la parte de la reunión que vamos a hacer en español. Tenemos una breve presentación y unos videos para explicar más sobre el modelo híbrido que empieza para kinder y primero es el 22 de febrero. Después de los videos y después de la presentación, tomaremos preguntas usando los comentarios en el YouTube. Entonces les presento a la directora, el subdirector y la consejera. Do you want to start
Can you guys see this on your screen?
No.
No. Okay, so hold on. I apologize. Would you apologize to everybody real quick? I don't know why it's showing on mine, and I shared
Con
it.
permiso, estamos buscando la presentación para mostrarles la información que tenemos.
I will unshare it and then reshare it. How's that? Now?
Yes.
Coming.
Hey, can you still see it?
Mhm.
Gracias.
Okay.
Buenas noches. Buenas noches. I'm doing my very best. Me llamo Mrs. Johnson, directora, Mountain View Escuela Primaria.
Muy bien. Ella es la directora. Alex.
Oh, hola, soy el señor Brownsman.
Es el subdirector.
Buenos noches, Mrs. Grote, and I am, or yo soy, is that a way to say it? Yo soy consejera.
Muy bien. La señora Gro es la consejera y yo soy la maestra Kelly. Voy a traducir y también soy maestra de los estudiantes multilingües. Okay.
Thank you so very much for being here this evening.
Gracias por estar aquí con nosotros.
We have a few things that we would like to share in order to help prepare our students for returning back to school.
Tenemos varias cosas que vamos a compartir para ayudarles en prepararse para volver a las clases en el modelo híbrido.
Gracias.
Primero, les vamos a mostrar un video hecho por el distrito que tiene información sobre las expectativas.
En el Distrito Escolar de Shelton, la salud y seguridad de los estudiantes, personal y familias sigue siendo nuestra prioridad más importante. Hemos trabajado duro para asegurarnos de estar listos para dar la bienvenida a los estudiantes de manera segura para el aprendizaje en persona en un modelo mixto. Los estudiantes asistirán a la escuela cara a cara los lunes y martes o jueves y viernes. Los miércoles son días de aprendizaje en línea para todos y el personal tiene horario de oficina, planificación o reuniones de clase en línea. Los estudiantes de preescolar, jardín de niños, primero, quinto y séptimo grado regresarán tentativamente a la escuela el 22 de febrero. Los estudiantes de segundo, tercero, cuarto, sexto, octavo al 12º grado regresarán tentativamente a la escuela el 15 de marzo. En este video repasaremos cómo sería un día típico en la escuela y resaltaremos los procedimientos de seguridad importantes para garantizar que los estudiantes y el personal estén lo más seguro posible cuando regresen a la escuela. Entonces, ¿cómo será un día típico? Mientras están en la escuela y en los autobuses, requerimos que todos los estudiantes usen una mascarilla que cubra su nariz y boca en todo momento. Los estudiantes deben traer sus propias mascarillas todos los días, pero las escuelas pueden proporcionar mascarillas a los estudiantes que las olviden. Recomendamos mascarillas de tela reutilizables de múltiples capas. Los gaiters no proporcionan una protección aceptable. Si su estudiante viaja en el autobús, es necesario que use una mascarilla. Nuestros conductores del autobús llevarán extras por si acaso. Todos los estudiantes deberán sentarse en sus asientos asignados. Los hermanos pueden sentarse juntos en un asiento, pero todos los demás estudiantes deberán sentarse un estudiante por asiento. Todas las áreas y asientos que sean tocadas frecuentemente serán desinfectadas entre rutas y cuando regresen al estacionamiento del autobús. Antes de llegar a la escuela, los estudiantes de primaria, los padres y tutores completarán diariamente un formulario de confirmación COVID. Cada escuela trabajará con las familias para proporcionar formularios de confirmación. Los padres o tutores enviarán el formulario de confirmación a la escuela por su estudiante todos los días. El código QR es único para cada estudiante y no se puede utilizar para otros estudiantes de la familia. Los estudiantes de secundaria y preparatoria recibirán calcamonías de códigos únicos QR y responderán ellos mismos a las preguntas de COVID al llegar a la escuela. Los estudiantes tendrán la opción de iniciar una sesión usando sus teléfonos inteligentes y responder a las preguntas con anticipación visitando la aplicación appscreening.com. Cuando los estudiantes llegan a la escuela, irán a un lugar de evaluación COVID, cerca de la entrada principal o a la entrada del autobús en cada escuela. Los lugares de evaluación estarán claramente marcados. Si los estudiantes llegan tarde, irán al lugar de evaluación en la oficina principal. En el lugar de evaluación COVID, los estudiantes escanearán su código QR de su formulario de certificación, etiqueta de código QR o teléfono inteligente en un kiosco de evaluación. El kiosco escaneará su temperatura. El evaluador hará las preguntas de certificación si el estudiante aún no las ha respondido. Si el estudiante pasa las preguntas y si tu temperatura es inferior a 100 grados Fahrenheit, será admitido en el edificio y se le pedirá que vaya a una estación de lavado de manos para lavarse las manos. Si el estudiante no pasa el cuestionario o si tu temperatura registra 100 grados Fahrenheit o más, será enviado a un evaluador secundario para una evaluación más avanzada. Si la temperatura se confirma a 100 grados Fahrenheit o más, o si el niño está visiblemente enfermo, no relacionado con alergias estacionales, o si alguna de las preguntas se confirma como una respuesta afirmativa, el estudiante será llevado a una sala de aislamiento y se le pedirá a su contacto que lo recoja. Los estudiantes que no pasen la prueba y no se les requiera ponerse en cuarentena, no pueden regresar a la escuela por 3 días hábiles y sus síntomas y temperatura deberán haber disminuido. Es importante que los estudiantes mantengan sus manos limpias durante todo el día. Los estudiantes deben lavarse las manos al llegar a la escuela. Se les pedirá que se las laven en varios otros puntos durante el día. Esto incluye antes de comer, después de los recreos después de educación física y completar proyectos o actividades. También se han colocado estaciones de desinfectante de manos en las escuelas para ayudar a complementar el lavado de manos. Aunque los estudiantes estarán emocionados de volver a ver a sus amigos cuando regresen a la escuela, se requerirá una distancia física de 6 pies en todo momento, excepto cuando se crucen accidentalmente en los pasillos y se encuentren momentáneamente en la escuela. Los estudiantes podrán hablar entre ellos en los momentos apropiados y habrá algunas oportunidades de socialización, pero se requerirán máscaras y distanciamiento. Los salones de clases se han configurado de manera que las mesas y los escritorios estén separados por más de 6 pies, de lado a lado y de atrás hacia adelante. Se requerirá un distanciamiento incluso a la hora de almuerzo. ¿Cómo serán los salones de clase? Nuestro departamento de mantenimiento ha estado trabajando con esos edificios para determinar la capacidad máxima para que los estudiantes estén alejados de manera segura en un salón de clases, sentados a 6 pies de distancia. Los estudiantes no compartirán útiles ni materiales. Los estudiantes se lavarán las manos antes de entrar al salón de clases. Al final de la clase, los estudiantes ayudarán a limpiar su escritorio o cualquier material si están pasando a otra clase. Los estudiantes no traerán su Chromebook de lado a lado para los grados del kinder al sexto. En los grados de séptimo a doceavo, se les pedirá que traigan sus Chromebooks desde y hacia la casa y a la escuela. Las escuelas comunicarán con las familias y publicarán las listas de útiles escolares en el sitio web del distrito. Los maestros y los estudiantes continuarán usando el plan de estudios del kinder al doceavo grado durante el sistema híbrido. Las comidas seguirán siendo gratuitas para todos los estudiantes durante el resto del año escolar 2020-2021. Las comidas estarán en bolsas para llevar con un desayuno o almuerzo completo y todos los artículos estarán empaquetados previamente. Mientras están en la escuela, los estudiantes recogerán su almuerzo y dependiendo de su escuela, irán a comer al área común, la cafetería o el salón de clases. Durante la etapa B, el modelo combinado, los servicios de comida para llevar continuarán en la preparatoria, en la primaria Evergreen y Bordeaux, de 10:30 a 12:30 p.m. en los días escolares programados para que los estudiantes aprendan de forma remota y también para los miembros de la comunidad de 18 años y menores. Las comidas se limitan a un desayuno y un almuerzo por niño por día. Estamos trabajando arduamente para proporcionar la mayor cantidad de comidas posibles a todos los niños que lo necesiten. Si un estudiante recibe comidas mientras está en la escuela, el estudiante no debe recoger comidas también en la escuela. Los días en que los estudiantes asistan a la escuela, ya sea en el grupo A o en el grupo B, participarán en un tiempo de aprendizaje no sincronizado. El aprendizaje no sincronizado significa que aprenderán de forma independiente desde su casa. Los estudiantes tendrán 3 días no sincronizados a la semana. Las escuelas de kinder al octavo, junto con Choice y la preparatoria Cedar, saldrán 60 minutos antes. Los grados 9 a 12avo, la preparatoria de Shelton, participarán en el aprendizaje no sincronizado de 12:30 a 2:20 de la tarde. Las escuelas se comunicarán con las familias con más información. El distrito escolar de Shelton continuará enfocándose en crear un ambiente escolar seguro y saludable mientras hacemos la transición al aprendizaje en persona. Si usted tiene preguntas, no dude en comunicarse con su escuela o llamar a la oficina del distrito al 360-426-1687. Puede encontrar más información en nuestro sitio web www.sheltonschools.org. Esperamos verte pronto.
Excelente.
Y agradecemos a la directora, la señora Brady, y a Katie Diamond por haber hecho este video. También tenemos un video para nosotros que es más específico sobre lo que vamos a ver en Mountain View. Si funciona el enlace.
Oh, whoops.
I wonder if that link will work. It looked like it said Male Shelton School something.
Oh. There
Oh,
it is.
aquí viene.
Hola familias de Mountain View, estamos emocionados de empezar el modelo híbrido con nuestros estudiantes y con ustedes. Habrá muchos cambios, entonces este video es para mostrarles algunos de los cambios para seguridad y la salud de todos nuestros estudiantes. Gracias.
Primero vamos a hablar del horario híbrido cuando están en persona. Grupo A le toca venir los lunes y los martes para venir para clases en persona en la escuela. Grupo B le toca jueves y viernes para venir en persona a clases en la escuela. También tendrán días independientes que trabajan en línea en sus tareas. Grupo A tiene tareas independientes miércoles, jueves y viernes. Para el grupo B van a trabajar independiente en casa en línea miércoles, lunes y martes.
En el modelo híbrido, nuestra prioridad es la seguridad de todos nuestros estudiantes. Ahora vamos a enseñarles algunos de los protocolos de seguridad para la salud de todos nuestros alumnos.
Primero, vamos a hablar de cubrebocas. Todos los estudiantes y los maestros se van a poner cubrebocas todos los días para protegernos de COVID-19. Tenemos cubrebocas en la escuela para los que se olviden traérselo de la casa. Cuando lleguen a la escuela, todos los días vamos a tomarnos la temperatura usando una máquina para medir la temperatura de cada estudiante. Habrá una máquina para tomarse la temperatura enfrente de la escuela y también detrás de la escuela. También, cuando tomamos la temperatura, vamos a entregar una certificación de salud que se ve así, firmado por un papá, una mamá o un guardián. Tomamos la temperatura en la máquina así y después pedimos que todos se laven las manos o que usen un gel desinfectante. Habrá varios momentos durante el día que pedimos que se laven las manos o que usen un gel desinfectante. Por ejemplo, cuando lleguen a la escuela, antes de entrar al salón, antes y después de comer y antes y después de jugar al recreo. Por fin, vamos a hablar de mantenernos la distancia. Pedimos que se mantienen una distancia de 6 pies y tenemos señales en la escuela para recordarles mantener su distancia. Por ejemplo, fuera del baño, hay estos señales que se muestran dónde pararse y también en la cafetería donde comemos hemos separado las mesas para que cada niño tenga bastante espacio para comer seguramente. Afuera, en el recreo, hemos designado zonas diferentes para que cada clase pueda jugar en su propia zona, manteniendo distancia de otros grupos de niños. También en cada salón de clase hemos hecho cambios para mantenernos la distancia, que incluye quitar ciertos muebles para hacer espacio entre cada escritorio. Como pueden ver, las clases se ven diferentes del año pasado, pero nos ayuda a mantener la distancia de los 6 pies. Gracias por su tiempo y déjanos saber si tienes preguntas.
Very well done, Mrs. Kelly. Thank you.
Gracias.
We wanted to go over this form a little bit. I noticed in the video the district did it was in English, so I think it's really important that we look over at the Spanish version or the translated version.
Eso es la certificación de salud que tendrán que entregar todos los días que su hijo o hija venga a la escuela. Tiene 4 preguntas. La primera pregunta tiene que ver con síntomas de COVID-19 y dice, ¿tiene alguno de estos síntomas que no están asociados con alergias estacionales? Por ejemplo, fiebre, escalofríos, tos, falta de respiración o dificultad para respirar, fatiga, que es como tener sueño, dolores musculares o corporales, dolor de cabeza, pérdida reciente del gusto o olfato, dolor de garganta, congestión, náuseas o diarrea. La segunda pregunta dice que si ha estado en contacto con alguien en los últimos 14 días que tenga síntomas similares al COVID-19. La tercera pregunta, ¿ha tenido una prueba positiva de COVID-19 en los últimos 10 días o espera los resultados de una prueba de COVID-19? Y la última pregunta, ¿se le ha pedido que se aísle o se ponga en cuarentena debido a preocupación sobre la infección por COVID-19? Y lo más importante de esas 4 preguntas es que si respondió usted sobre su hijo, que si respondió que sí, es importante no mandarle a la escuela. Y tiene que tener una certificación para cada estudiante. Vamos a mandar copias de estos antes de que su hijo venga a la escuela para que los tenga listos para el primer día de clases. I just added that we're sending a couple of copies.
Excellent. So make sure they know that it will English on one side, Spanish on the other. So if they see that, make sure they turn it over.
Cada copia tendrá inglés en un lado y el español en el otro lado.
And that it must be, we need this filled out every day, one for every child.
Y tiene que hacerlo todos los días que su hijo viene a la escuela y una copia para cada hijo o hija.
And the most important thing that I want families to know I just want to make sure families know keeping your child home because you're unsure about this symptom means that they're home for 24 hours. If we have to send them home, they're home for 72 hours.
En el caso que usted como papá cree que su hijo tiene alguno de esos síntomas, solo tiene que esperar 24 horas o un día para mandarle el próximo día a la escuela si ya no tiene síntomas. Pero si llega a la escuela y le tomamos la temperatura con la máquina y resulta que sí tiene algún síntoma, lo tenemos que mandar para la casa por 72 horas o 3 días. Entonces, eso es muy importante. Si usted toma la decisión antes de mandarlo, solo es un día. Pero si llega a la escuela con síntomas, son 3 días que se tiene que quedar en casa.
Gracias. So we just like to share a little more information.
Queremos compartir más información sobre llegar y salir de la escuela. El horario diario para el aprendizaje en persona es de 9 a 2:30. Pueden llegar empezando a las 8:30. Hay 2 entradas, uno para los caminantes y padres y otra para los autobuses, entonces enfrente y detrás. Para las familias que dejan a sus hijos, seguirán usando nuestros carriles para dejar a su hijo, pero por favor que no lo deje antes de que alguien como le dé permiso. Entonces significa que tienen su certificación de salud y que estamos listos para darles el cuestionario diario. A los estudiantes deben tener su formulario de certificación de salud. Alguien, una maestra o un personal va a indicar cuándo es tiempo de bajarse. Y por favor que los papás se queden en sus carros y que no se bajen. Y para las familias que están mandando a sus hijos en el autobús, por favor asegúrense que tengan su formulario de certificación ya completa. el conductor del bus va a pedir que todos los estudiantes saquen su certificación cuando lleguen a la escuela, cuando bajen del bus. Tienen que estar sentados en el bus, un estudiante en cada asiento, pero sí pueden sentarse con sus hermanos. Entonces, si viene con su hermano, pueden sentarse juntos. Siempre habrá un personal que va a guiar a través de la selección y el testimonio sobre los síntomas de COVID. Y es importante que todo el tiempo que esté en el bus, que tenga su mascarilla, su cubreboca. Pero si se olviden, los conductores de los autobuses tendrán algunas por si acaso. Una vez que el estudiante ingresa a la escuela, después de pasar por el proceso de selección, tomarse la temperatura y todo, vamos a ofrecerles un desayuno para llevar y puede irse a la cafetería o a su salón de clases. En el fin del día, es poco diferente, que por favor estén preparados para un tiempo más largo, digamos, porque estamos desarrollando un sistema nuevo. Estamos muy agradecidos por su paciencia. Ustedes van a quedarse en el carro, no se van a bajar. Un personal de la escuela llevará a los estudiantes a los carros individualmente. Los estudiantes no van a estar ahí esperando frente del edificio, sino van a quedarse en sus salones o tal vez en el gimnasio esperando que el personal los llame. Si quieren, tienen la opción de poner el nombre de su hijo o hija que está recogiendo con apellido y su grado en la parabrisa para que el personal ya puede ver quién está recogiendo. Si viene, o digo, si su hijo va a irse a la casa en bus, va a quedarse en su clase, en su salón, hasta que llegue su bus y estén listos para subirse. Siempre habrá un personal que va a guiar a cada clase a su zona para subirse al bus. Y en el caso que necesite recoger a su estudiante temprano, por favor, entre en el estacionamiento, llame a la oficina y le guiaremos a su hijo afuera.
Thank you. Did we add anything last time that was not on these slides?
I think just about being patient, and it has the part about the name on the white or on the, what's it called, windshield. So
Just thank you so much for your patience.
entonces gracias mucho por su paciencia y acuérdense que puede haber más cambios porque cuando aprendemos algo podemos inventar otra manera de hacerlo. Ok, este es cómo será un horario semanal, entonces de toda la semana. Van a notar que grupo A está en azul y grupo B está en rojo. En ese momento, grupo A le toca lunes y martes, está en la escuela, y jueves y viernes está participando en aprendizaje independiente, que significa que está trabajando en K12, otros programas, pero que no siempre habrá una maestra disponible. Cuando están en la escuela, los lunes y martes, habrá un modelo de instrucción que enfoque en lectura, escritura y matemática. Y al revés, grupo B tiene sus clases en persona jueves y viernes, y los lunes y martes está trabajando independientemente en programas en la computadora como K12, Imagine Learning, Waterford, Dreambox y otros programas y tareas de sus maestras.
Gracias.
I didn't talk about Wednesday. Do you want to talk about Wednesday?
Yeah, just that it looks a little bit different, that the teachers will be using some of that time to be able to do that switch between in-person and seeing how their kids are doing during that K-12 asynchronous learning time.
Los miércoles son todos, grupo A y B van a estar en las casas estudiando en las computadoras a través de K12 y otros programas. Eso es el día que las maestras están usando para planear todas sus lecciones, porque tiene que tener lecciones no solo para en persona, pero también para que llamamos asincrónica, que significa que es algo grabado o algo que los niños pueden usar, no a la vez con la maestra. También es el día que van a enfocar en comunicarse con ustedes y hemos cambiado el horario de las salidas tempranas para que todas las salidas tempranas que antes estaban tomaban lugar los viernes, ya van a tomar lugar los miércoles. El 24 de febrero, el 10 de marzo, el 21 de abril, el 5 de mayo y el 19 de mayo ya serán días de salida temprano, los miércoles.
Gracias. Phew.
Uh-huh. Esto tiene que ver con las comidas y las rutinas. Entonces, vamos a seguir dando gratis a todos los estudiantes las comidas de la escuela durante el resto del año. Las comidas siempre estarán en bolsas, a la forma grab and go, entonces para llevar. Todos los artículos de la comida están empaquetados y los estudiantes comerán las comidas en su salón de clase o en la cafetería. Si están en sus días de la casa, por ejemplo, los lunes y martes para grupo B y los jueves y viernes para grupo A, todavía pueden recoger comidas en la escuela Evergreen, Shelton High School y también en Bordeaux. Los estudiantes que van a traer su almuerzo de casa, por favor, es importante que solo usen cosas desechables, incluyendo las bolsas que traen, trastes, cucharas, tenedores, etcétera, porque no podemos tener nada que quieren regresar a casa en nuestros salones por la situación de contagiarnos y infectarnos. Vamos a seguir las pautas de salud locales para mantener seguros a todos los estudiantes. Cualquiera entre los edificios será examinados. Por ejemplo, todos los estudiantes y el personal en la escuela vamos a usar la cubreboca, mantenernos la distancia en todo lado y también en los autobuses. Entonces, antes de que empiecen las clases, van a recibir un formulario que no es la certificación de salud, sino es un acuerdo de seguridad y salud que tendrán que mandar con su hijo en sus primeros días de clase, que tiene que ver con conseguir las pautas también ustedes, los papás, con sus hijos. Va a haber una caja donde lo puede entregar antes, porque este papel va a venir en el correo. The box is going to be available next week, Mary?
Yeah, we'll have it out starting next Wednesday.
Entonces, empezando el próximo miércoles, pueden entregar este acuerdo de seguridad. Por favor, que no entreguen sus certificaciones de salud en esa caja. O lo pueden mandar con su hijo su primer día de clases. Todavía van a tener recreos los niños afuera. Solo va a haber un grado afuera jugando a la vez. Van a jugar en diferentes zonas. Por ejemplo, hay días en el patio, otros días tal vez en los columpios, pero van a ir cambiando y compartiendo. A los niños siempre les vamos a lavar las manos antes y después de salir para mantener la salud también afuera. Asistencia también es importante los 5 días a la semana, tanto como en persona como en los días de la casa. Vamos a tomar esa asistencia quienes están presentes durante los días en persona y también vamos a usar otros programas como K12, Imagine Learning o Grupo Pequeño para tomar asistencia cuando están en la casa. La asistencia es muy importante para el éxito de su estudiante. Si tiene preguntas, siempre puede hablar con nosotros para saber sobre su hijo específicamente. Los baños no pueden caber tantos como antes. Entonces tenemos un sistema que vamos a enseñar que tiene que ver con cómo saber si hay alguien en el baño para mantener la distancia también. Y siempre les vamos a pedir que laven las manos antes de regresar al salón de clases. Ahí tal vez lo más importante es la cubreboca. Va a haber lugares donde los niños pueden quitarse la máscara afuera para tomar como un descansito de taparse la boca. Y siempre prometemos que si necesitamos ayudarle a su hijo con su máscara, vamos a lavarnos las manos antes de ayudarle, ponerse o tal vez ajustarlo.
Did you talk about at recess, we'll have some hula hoops out for kids that do need to take a mask break?
En el recreo también habrá la oportunidad de quitarse la máscara y tendremos unos anillos donde se pueden parar, quitarse la máscara, respirar y ya después volverse a su grupo.
Gracias.
Ok, el horario diario. It's kind of fun to say. Horario diario. Y no olviden, pueden poner sus preguntas en el YouTube. Ok, por ejemplo, los niños llegan a las 8:30, pueden lavarse las manos y guardar sus cosas. Eso es para kinder. Luego de 9 a 9:20 van a trabajar en escritura y también en cómo hacer ejercicios para sus manos, porque trabajando siempre en la computadora no se desarrolla muy bien sus manitos. Luego, escritura y lectura. A las 10:20, matemática. Tiempo para lavarnos las manos. Almuerzo a las 10:55. Después un recreo. Otra vez tiempo para lavarnos las manos. A las 11:40 un descansito. Otra vez al mediodía matemática. A las 12:30 otra vez escritura y lectura. A la 1:15 pueden lavarse las manos, salir a jugar otra vez, volver, lavarse las manos y ya casi llegamos al fin del día para limpiar todo y prepararnos para volver a la casa. Acuérdense que en este modelo los niños salen de la escuela a las 2:30, las 2:30. Y en ese momento tenemos la oportunidad de hacer preguntas, pero yo sé que la directora también, aunque no hay preguntas, puede darnos poco más información. So I said, now we can take questions from the chat, but I also know that our principal can also provide a little more information while we see if anyone comes. So.
Okay. Are there any questions yet?
Okay.
Okay. So let's just talk real quickly about our students in second, third, and fourth grade.
Vamos a hablar un ratito sobre los niños que están en segundo, tercero y cuarto.
Next week, I'll be sending out information and directions for how parents can make a change from the decision they made in December about whether their child was going to be hybrid or online.
Si se acuerdan, en diciembre, la maestra de su hijo preguntaba que si usted quería que su hijo viniera a la escuela o que se quedara en línea. La próxima semana vamos a mandar instrucciones de cómo cambiar su decisión, si quieren cambiar del híbrido a clases en línea o de clases en línea al modelo híbrido.
So we'll give the parents probably a week or so to respond, and then we'll look at our numbers and begin to do any changes that we may need to make to which hybrid schedule they're on, and the possibility that we may have to, in some cases, there will be some changes in teachers based on online versus hybrid return.
Entonces, cuando ya tengan las instrucciones para hacer los cambios, si los quieren hacer, tendrán tal vez una semana para hacer los cambios y ya después nosotros podemos empezar a trabajar en las listas de cada clase y siempre hay la posibilidad que si hay muchos cambios, también habrá cambios de quién es la maestra de su hijo o hija. Ya después, al final del mes, vamos a compartir esa información con ustedes, los papás.
So as we did with preschool, kindergarten, and first grade, we will provide information to our parents of second, third, and fourth graders no later than the end of February on what days their children will be attending.
Y entonces, cuando ya tengamos toda esa información lista, antes del los finales de febrero, vamos a poder compartir con ustedes de los papás de segundo, tercero y cuarto grado a qué grupo le va a tocar a su hijo y qué días está estudiando en la escuela y qué días está estudiando en la casa.
But I want parents to know that we did our very best as a district to try to ensure that children in same families would be attending on the same days.
Hemos intentado, no solo en nuestra escuela, sino en todas las escuelas, mantener los niños de una sola familia que todos estén en el mismo grupo. Entonces, si usted tiene un estudiante en Mountain View, que es grupo A, también su hijo en el colegio o la secundaria sería el grupo A también. Es lo que hemos intentado.
And if once we start sharing that information with parents, if we've made a mistake, we will go back in and do everything we can to fix it.
Y si usted recibe una poca información que no parece correcta o que si hay un error, por favor avísenos y así podemos tratar de resolver el problema.
We will be mailing home information very similar to the information we shared tonight. It will go home to our kindergarten and first grade families over the weekend.
Toda la información que han visto aquí en esta presentación van a recibir en el correo. Esperamos este fin de semana dependiendo de la nieve y hay algunas cosas que queremos que entreguen, por ejemplo, el acuerdo de seguridad y también la información de contacto de emergencia. Y vamos a mandar el mismo paquete luego para los niños de segundo, tercero y cuarto.
And we'll do the same thing with our students in second, third, and fourth grade. We'll be sending home similar information closer to their return day as well.
Y esa información que vamos a mandar, lo vamos a mandar también con el próximo grupo de niños que empieza en segundo, tercero y cuarto. Y en ese momento la fecha para empezar para ellos es el 15 de marzo, pero todo depende de los casos de COVID y qué tan altos están.
Okay, I can't think of anything else. Do we have any questions?
No hay preguntas. There's not questions right now. I am going to check the family Facebook group just to see if anyone put something there. There's nothing there.
That's a good idea.
And nope, nothing in the Facebook group or in the email.
Well, I just want to thank everybody so much for watching our presentation this evening.
Agradecemos muchísimo a todos que han participado y que han visto esta presentación.
I hope that if they found it useful and helpful and informative, that they will please share it with friends that have students in school as well.
Y esperamos si fue informativa, que lo compartan con sus familiares que tal vez tienen también hijos en el distrito de Shelton.
And just know that after you've watched this, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, they can reach out to us at Mountain View anytime.
Y siempre estamos a la orden. Si usted tiene preguntas, preocupaciones, recomendaciones, pueden comunicarse con nosotros en la escuela por teléfono, correo, por todos modos.
So I just want to extend a early thank you for the patience that I know they will provide us as we do something we've never done before.
Y también agradecemos la paciencia que van a tener con nosotros mientras que aprendemos cómo manejar esa situación, que es una situación nueva para todos. Entonces, gracias por su paciencia en el futuro y en esas semanas que vienen.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for this evening.
Thank you. Gracias.
Gracias.
Okay.
Buenas noches.
So I think, Kat, before we put this all the way on there, let's make sure we'll add the video